กราบนมัสการพระคุณเจ้าสวัสดีครับ Good afternoon all the ASEAN secretaries Your Excellencies members of the press distinguished guests ladies and gentlemen on behalf of the Tourism Authority of Thailand I'm really delighted and honored to be here to share some information of what amazing Thailand has been reopened in the past year. So my presentation today will be divided into two parts. The chapter 1 is also about the Thailand reopening policies, and chapter 2 also about the policy to reboot the Thai tourism for safe and also sustainable growth in the futures. So please stay with me for the presentation. So next slide. Chapter 1. What happened last year? Thailand, before we reopened the countries, we trying to collaborate with all the partners. We listen to the local people, talk to the local authorities and all the private sectors, allow Thailand as well on which part of Thailand are ready to reopen last year. Because Thailand a majority's income rely on the Thailand the tourism industry. The income from international tourists and domestic travel is share about 20% of Thailand GDP in the past year before the pandemic came. So on the screen at the moment, you can see it's quite good coincidence last year. We think about triple R policy of strategic move as well to reopen the countries. And this is coincident with the forum for today. Triple R is stand for reopen, recovery, and resilient by that time. And we think we need to reopen. Before we reopen, in Q3 of last year, Phuket Sandbox, actually we start with the STR visa, or stand for the special tourist visa. When the tourists still need to mandatory quarantine for 14 nights stay in the hotel, and also they have to stay in the room, only enjoy the hotel facilities, and then after that we reopen Phuket Sandbox. So that's why we call reopen the countries. By that time, we, just like the speakers has just mentioned before, we look at the herd immunities, the vaccination rollout in the countries. But if we reopen the countries, it's very hard to reach the herd immunity for the whole countries, which are more than 60 million of Thai people. So that's why we just try to propose the different approach. We call the city marketings or the island approach. So we focus on the island first because it's easy to control, and then also easy to do the vaccinations at that area. In particular, we're looking for some popular destination and easy access by air to those destinations. So that's why, in conclusions, we found that Phuket ready by that time. Before the July last year, before we reopened Phuket Sandbox, the vaccination rollout is reached. The herd immunity is 70%. All the local people is ready. They welcome the tourists. Private sector ready. All the local authorities also working together hand in hand to reopen. So that's why we start with Phuket Sandbox. And after island approach, island to island, we continue to Samui Sandbox, from Phuket Island to Samui Island, and connecting with the Koh Tao and Phangan Island as well. And then after that, we combine with Krabi Island, which are actually PP Island, and some other island has been opened. And that was the first time that we approached the inland approach, followed by Phanga after the island approach. So that was we done last year. But without collaboration, without learning from each other, in particular learning from each destination, like ASEAN destinations and also Europeans, United States destination, what are their timeline to reopen, exit strategy, that's what we learn from them. And then we try to collaborate with all the relevant agencies and the local people. Then, after 4 months of Phuket Sandbox, we look at the numbers of the confidence, in terms of infection rate, percent rate, infections in those areas. The Ministry of Public Health has been closer look to the numbers of the infection rate from international travelers at Phuket Sandbox after 4 months. You know what happened? They found only 2% or less than 3% infection rate from those who fully vaccinated from overseas and then went to Phuket Sandbox by that time. So that's why they think that was about time to easing more restrictions. So that's why after Phuket Sandbox reopened, we stepped into the recovery timeline. And then we just launched and initiated the Test and Go scheme, as you could remember. November last year, we initiated the Test and Go scheme, where the fully vaccinated need only one test, stay only one night. When result came out negative, they're free to go in the kingdom. So that was the recovery stage. But by that time, that was only recovery. We think about the futures. We're balancing at the moment, balancing the public health issues with the economical issues altogether. But in the futures, we are getting close to the post-pandemic or post-COVID-19 here in Thailand. Of course, finger crossed, maybe 2 months later or after that. It depends on the World Health Organization as well. But we're thinking about the futures. It's not just about the safety and health issues that we should concern. We should think about the futures of sustainability, inclusive growth. So that's why the Thai government has been launched the policy of BCG, the Bio-Circular Green Economy, and then we imply that policy into the BCG tourism as well, which I'm going to inform you later on. So that is most important timeline for Thailand at the moment. We reopen because we're learning from each other, from each countries, including the ASEAN countries. And now we are getting into the stage of recovery and resilience. So please, next slide. I'm going to show you a quick information to share about the result. And what is the result after we opened the Phuket Sandbox, Samui Plus model, and Krabi Phang extensions, Test and Go scheme, Sandbox, and Happy Quarantine? On the screen, starting from your left-hand side, the bar graph, the first one is from January to June last year, which I mentioned we had special tourist visa, whereas the people need to mandatorily 14-night stay, but we still welcome the international tourists, including the ASEAN countries, come to our countries. Thanks for your great support as well. The numbers of 6 months is approximately 40,000 by that time. So that's why we reopened Phuket Sandbox on the second one. As you can see, from July, August, September, October, 4 months, we welcome approximately 65,000 by that time. The majority of them are fully vaccinated. They still trust the destination. They invite their own family. So when the first flight landed, inaugural, resumed to Phuket Sandbox on the 1st of July. Remember that I was there as well. There are a group of family being there. So that means there's still, the trust, confidence, and the safety destination are the key concerns of the tourists. That's what we learned. That's the key lesson learned from Thailand. And then after the Phuket Sandbox in November, in the middle, you can see the numbers of the international tourists to Thailand in November, December. It's increasing because we launched the Test and Go scheme. Fully vaccinated, no need to mandatory quarantine, only one night stay. And then suddenly, the Omicron came to everyone, to every country. So we suspended the scheme. And then step by step, we keep on easing the restriction, learning from each other, what the other country does, how to control the situation, how to reopen the countries. And then we easing step by step, slowly reopen. Up to now, the end of April, as you can see from the screen, the numbers of last month in April is quite new height in terms of in the past year as well. But look at this month, May, when we lift off all those, we stop all those Test and Go schemes, Sandbox and quarantine. We have only fully vaccinated. Just present your vaccination certificate and also just do your, very simply, insurance with $10,000 coverage only, and then came to Thailand. The number is increasing. For the first 10 days of May, it's reached the numbers of more than half of last month. So that's been at least 50% increasing by this month of May. So we think the numbers will be increasing more and more. That's what about the Thailand reopening policies. We keep on balancing the safety and health of the people with the economic issue, and then also to help and support the local businesses as well. That was chapter 1. So next, chapter 2. Chapter 2 is also about the policy to reboot. Next slide, please. So now, as I mentioned, we're balancing very well with all the relevant agencies. They try to control the safety measures and everything. But now it's time to think about the futures. Think about the recovery and also the resilience. We need to adjust, adapt ourselves. So that's why we came up with the very simple 3 main strategic moves for Thailand as well. We call create demand, shape supply, and drive the collaborations. That is the key conceptual behind this year before we launch Visit Thailand Year 2022. So we're trying to create demand, the qualitative demand, qualitative tourists, and also to try to understand them, listen to them on what exactly they're looking for. They're looking for well prepared in terms of safety, well prepared for sustainability. So this is to create the demand. To shape supply and also drive collaboration are very important to us and also are very challenging to us. So we don't expect everything back to normal. We don't expect numbers of 40 million, just like 2019, that what happened the pre-pandemic. We expect maybe half of the numbers by end of this year, by end of next year as well. This year might be reached 1/3 or 1/4 of year 2019. So we need to adapt, we need to resilience, we need to adjust ourselves, in particular in terms of the responsible tourism and digital tourism. That is the key strategic move for Thailand. So next, please. In terms of collaborations, we're still trying to leverage our standardize. We, thanks to the WTTC, World Travel and Tourism Council as well, to let's say if we just initiate the SHA on year 2020, Safety and Health Administration, initiated by the Ministry of Public Health and Ministry of Tourism and Sport and TAT and the private sectors. And then we talked to the WTTC. Now they recognize the same standardize. They confirm that, they certified that the charge standard of Thailand, which actually are more than 50,000 local businesses awarded the charge standard. They are on par standardized with the Safe Travel Stamp by the WTTC, World Travel and Tourism Council as well. So that is what we're trying to work more with to collaborate with the others, organization and all the potential partners in coming future as well. So next, please. So then what is the Visit Thailand year? This year and next year, 2022 and 2023. So next slide, please. So this is the communication architectures of Thailand. I'm happy to share because we better learn from each other. I'm happy to learn, and we definitely learn from the ASEAN countries, the fellow ASEAN friends as well in the futures. Amazing Thailand is still our brand for tourism. The campaign is Amazing New Chapters. And then the announcement, as I mentioned, Visit Thailand Year 2022. And then the main idea, conceptual idea, is to shift and change from the product catalog into the experiences menu, divided into the chapters, and new product and new perspective from A to Z. Amazing Thailand has it all. So this is the concept behind the Visit Thailand Year. And what is A to Z? Amazing Thailand has it all. Next slide, please. Show you a very quick slide of the definition of the A to Z that we define in terms of the marketing communication senses about the experiences menu of the tourist. For instance, O it stands for organic lifestyle, Z is zero waste, zero food waste. That's what we're trying to define from A to Z. And then from that experiences menu, when the potential tourists they put into the bucket list, when they came to Thailand, it will be cascade and direct to the destination and the product and the perspective as well. So next, please. Give you more idea, a very short brief. This is the way that we're going to launch this year, we're trying to communicate in the theme of cinematic theme this year. This is just like movie poster. Everyone knows that. Movie poster. We see the movie, we watch the Netflix and also some of the streaming in the past few years. This is what we're going to propose. And then we're trying to divide into the chapters. For instance, nature, food, Thailand, NFT, non-fungible token actually. But for Thailand tourism, NFT means nature to keep, food to explore, and Thailand to discover. That is the main concept of the Visit Thailand Year Amazing New Chapter. Next, please. I'm going to move a bit fast, thanks. Nature, for instance, with the Amazing New Chapter, nature, styling is you, styling is everyone, user-generated content, we still need that kind of content. And then we have the best, just like Oscar style as well, best A to C, best reconnect with nature, best responsible tourism, with the kind of the Oscar style. So next, please. Food, Thailand. I think I'm going to move to the last slide, please. Just show you an idea. Last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, BCG tourism, biocircular green tourism are really important to us. And then we work very close with the potential partners. For example, we work with the Thai Organic Consumer Association or TOCA, to create the kind of earth point, look at the day-to-day operation, local ingredient food supply, and also kind of zero food waste, and we create the points, to the tourists to earn the points, earth point, amazing points, which is going to be launched very soon. So that is from my presentation today, and thank you for having TAT to share some information and learning from each other, learning from the ASEAN friends, and we'll definitely do learning from them as well. Thank you very much. ขอบคุณมากครับ